Hello there. So today I'm going to go over some Git stuff and familiarize you with the awesome thing that is Git and GitHub. So first things first, if you don't have it already, you'll need to download Git from their website. If you just look up Git download on Google, this is probably the page that'll pop up right here, and you just download it. And I've already have it downloaded, so I'm gonna not run it. But once you run it, a window like this should pop up. Uh, just default stuff. I already have it, so I'm going to just do that. I don't like Git GUI because it's scuffed, but yeah. From here on out, it shouldn't be overly wacky. If you can use Notepad++ or something else as the default editor, Vim, even though it's powerful, is not very easy to use. That option, these are just should be okay. Uh, okay, I might need to run it as an admin. Try that again. Same options. Uh, there. And then Notepad++. Next. Okay, there we go. So make sure you run it as an admin. And if you already have Git, or of course, just skip ahead. And then once this runs, you should be able to just have Git on your computer. Now, we're also going to be using GitHub, so that means if you don't already, you'll need to create an account. Now, of course, I already have one, and if you do want to create an account, it is in the sign up part. And yeah, so once you log in, it's probably not going to be as busy as my screen, but this is what you'll see. And now I think it's about time that I explain exactly what's going on with Git, because sometimes it's rather confusing. This is the website that lets you mess around with Git without breaking any code. Uh, but, and I'll probably link this in the description if you do want to mess around with it. But right here, you can pretty much look at how Git operates. Git pretty much is well, it is a versioning tool. So you keep track of all your changes from when you create it to your current time, and you can also mess around with the code in order to make sure that what you have is correct and runs well. Like if you have a better version back then, you can always roll it back, which is one of the um, more powerful features of Git. So some basic understanding that you do need to have is the commit command, which looks something like this. What that will do is add to your current repository the changes that you have, and then you can keep on adding those. And then once you want to update what is on GitHub or your local or your remote repository, you need to push, and that will update everything there. There's two other commands you need to know: add and pull, and those are related with syncing up what you have from GitHub to your local repository, and also adding files to your commit. So let's first of all mess with teams, because teams on GitHub is probably very important to uh, creating projects and cooperating with others, especially with the current circumstances. You can't really get together and do talk face to face. This is a really easy way to do it. So I'm going to create a team. I'm going to sample team demonstration. So this is in my own organization. You of course can do this in any other organization, and then just create. Although I'm not sure if you need to be a owner of the organization, but right here you can always add a person. Here we are. Gonna add my man Brighton to this team, and then right here, once you do that, you can add a repository. So this is where you can add a repository for this certain team. You can also create a repository for yourself up here if you do so desire. But I'm gonna name this one sample sample repo. Actually, no, I need to. Okay, so scratch that. What I need to do, that's the wrong thing. What I need to do is to create a repository here. And then I'm going to initialize it with a README. So I'm gonna stick with, actually change it to master. Refresh. Sample repo. Sample repository. Okay. So this is just so I don't break it with when I'm using git bash this thing over here. So I'm going to create the repository and add repository. There we go. Now we can add it. So what this does is allow you and your team to edit this. So you can mess with what people can do right here. This is something you can probably mess with in your free time if you are interested. But what I just did is probably necessary if you want your team members to mess with the repository with you. Okay. Now that I've created the repository, I can't really work on it in GitHub. What you need to do is pull it into your computer. So I'm going to just go into my downloads folder and I'm going to clone it. So how this is done is right here, just copying this and git clone the same. Oh, I forgot that I can't actually copy paste into the command line, so just copy that over. Faster than light tachyon sample repo. Of course I misspelled something. And then make sure you do .git at the end. It's pretty much the same URL but with .git at the end. And then once it clones, might take a hot moment. Might also need to sign into your browser if you haven't already, if this is a private repository. So nope. There we go. I think that's right. Nah. There we go. Oh, I forgot that I have two-factor authentication. I'm gonna pull this into my other window. But two-factor authentication is very good in case you don't want people to be messing with your account. And yeah. Okay, now it's been cloned. So if you look at my downloads folder on, well, let's see, explore dot. I can't. Okay, well, it looks like I can't actually show you, but there's a now a folder named sample repo in right here. So this is, once you go into it, this is what it'll say. It'll say the location in master. This master thing is denoting that it's a repository and you're on the master branch. So if once you're here, everything should be a-okay and you can start changing things. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, this is actually an issue because I don't know where I put the repository. So what I'm gonna do is try this again, but with this here. So git clone HTTPS. Gonna do the same thing. Sorry to be wasting your time, but this is my first take, and this is probably gonna be the one I'm putting on YouTube. So okay. Now okay, there we go. Now you can see that indeed there is a sample repo folder, and it matches exactly with what we have here. This Git folder is hidden by default, but it's storing all the data related to the repository. So the README is the same, or at least it should be. Checking with Notepad, edit, open with Notepad. Yep, it should be the same. Wouldn't you look at that? So now that you have the code character for character, you can now change it. So I'm going to say hello from my computer. Now that I've changed it, I need to update those changes and put them onto GitHub. So how do I do that? There are 3 commands that you'll need to know. So git add. This is how I write it. It's probably not best practice. You could probably do just -a, but that's... I also need to go into the sample repository. There. Now that I've added everything, I need to commit it. So git commit -m. And then include a message through -m. I'm going to say commit through command line. And then once I've committed, I need to push, which is like that. If you've cloned it, this is all you need to do. So to repeat, you need to add, commit, and push. And now the changes should be on GitHub. Wouldn't you look at that? There's also one other command you need to know once you have changes on GitHub. Say somebody else goes in and adds in their own flair. Say, hello there. This is from GitHub. I'm going to commit this. Now we have a disconnect between what you have and what GitHub has. So in order to update everything, we pull. Just git pull, and then it should just copy all the changes to your local disk. There you go. So that's pretty much all the basics of Git that you'll need to know for working with others. And if you're working with others, I highly suggest creating teams within an organization so you can work together. Okay, so I think it's about time that we look at some more advanced stuff if you are interested. There's more to Git, of course. There's all kinds of funky stuff because Git in essence is a tree. You can see that this does not look like a tree whatsoever in computer science, of course. this just looks like a line, right? You can have branches and all kinds of funny things going on. So this is the idea of branches, where you have different histories of the same code. You can also merge them together. So by combining the changes like that. I don't know all these commands by heart, so Google is your most helpful friend here. Also, reverting is very simple in Git, so just look that up. It shouldn't be too hard. It's, if I remember correctly, it's git reset dash dash hard, and then you type in the hash of the commit, which is this very weird looking thing. I think you only need the first few characters, and then it'll get the gist of it and then roll you back. But there is one important thing that you do need to know if you are working with multiple people, and that is merge conflicts. So this is whenever you have one file being changed by more than one person. So say we have merge conflict 1 in here, and then we change it up here to be merge conflict 2. So now we have an issue, because we now have a tree structure on one branch, because we have changes here that we don't have here. So now if we try to pull, Git will throw us this curveball. Git add. Well, first we need to commit before pulling. That is one cardinal sin that I'm very guilty of. Merge conflict 1. What it'll probably do is that. So whenever it says merge conflict, it'll usually mark out what's going on. So I'm going to open this with Notepad again. This is painful to look at, but this is actually very succinct if you think about it. So between this head marker and the equal signs, you have what you changed on your computer, because this is head refers to what you have. And then this very gnarly looking thing is what is on GitHub. And this is what they changed. So it's just saying, this is what you have, this is what they have. Choose one or the other. Now, of course, whenever you're working with multiple people, you want to consult with them in order to figure out exactly which would be the best solution. And then, of course, you need to make sure the code runs in the end. Right here, I'm just going to combine the two. Save it. Git add. And then git commit. There we go. So if you just do dash without the dash m, it'll pop up your text editor of choice and ask you to create a message. Now you'll note that right here it says merging, because you're merging two different histories together, or two branches more or less. So that's how it tells you that you're doing that. If you always want to abort, you can do like git merge abort or something, and then it'll reset back to the changes that you had on your computer before you tried pulling. Now that you've pulled it, you can now push, and now this will be updated. Oops, not yet. There we go. It will be updated with your new data. So that should wrap up pretty much everything to get you started with Git. From this information, you can probably just look up what else you need to know and then learn from there. Git isn't too hard to master, you just need to work with it enough in order to get the gist of what's going on. So yeah, that's it. The Computer Barista signing off.